Welcome to another episode of the Black Barbers Doc Podcast. We have Ray, aka My Supply Guy. How you doing, man?
Yeah, fantastic, man.
It's good to see you, man.
Every time.
Yes, sir. So this episode is going to talk about Ray and the supplies that he supplies to the black community, well, to the community, to the barbering community. We'll say that. So Ray, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Where do I start? Start from the beginning, or
just whatever. Just in brief.
In brief. Okay. My supply guy to many. My name is Ray Scott. We have a supply business that supplies products and tools to the barbering community, whether it's locally or abroad, domestically or internationally. We have been in this industry for almost a decade and a half at different levels. Mm-hmm. And we have been able to supply and provide service to a great deal of the industry, especially in the greater Atlanta area.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So how did you get into being a supply guy?
Man, that's that $64 million question. Everybody asks me the same thing because I don't look typical, or conduct business typical as that it is. Mm-hmm. Well, I was introduced to it by a friend of mine, childhood friend. He came to Atlanta and decided to open a beauty supply store. And he's thriving, in the early parts, he was developing it. And he suggested to me that I need to get involved and supply barbershops, and that's just random, really. Mm-hmm. He's like, barbers need supplies, and he was doing it, but he had the brick and mortar. And he's like, he see that he couldn't do it with the brick and mortar. It's kind of too much for him. So he's like, he can't do it as he need to. So why don't you try it? Naturally, I said no for a few years because I was busy doing other things. I had a tax service. I was a real estate agent, an appraiser, firefighter for DeKalb County.
Wow.
So during that time, there's, so many other things going on. I said no, but shortly thereafter, I said, okay, let me try. Mm-hmm. And he showed me what I needed to do. But the most important thing, I needed to be on the road.
Wow.
So I had to learn. I'm not a barber. I'm not a supplier. I'm not a manufacturer. The closest thing to that for me was what? Body lotion, what I'm saying?
Right.
Naturally.
Right.
So that was the entire learning curve right there.
Wow. So there's something that you said. You say you're not a barber, but you're a supplier.
Right.
I'm a filmmaker, aka creative, and telling barber stories, but I'm not a barber.
Right.
So that's some synergy that we
yes,
got going
absolutely.
On. So
we outsiders.
So we are, but we're trusted though.
Right.
So
right.
Since we're talking about trust, how do barbers? How did you get into this space since you're not a barber? Mm-hmm. And be trusted to supply for the barbers?
Well, there's things that are innate to that and everything else, meaning that consistency, reliability, mm-hmm. Willing to learn, being accessible, and at the end of the day, sacrifice. Because I had to sacrifice other things to learn this thing.
Wow.
And in that sense, once I did that, it was hard because learning from zero or negative, mm-hmm. you have to be introduced to everything, the culture, the communication, the interaction. Mm-hmm. I'm from corporate, I come from corporate America as far as I have an accounting degree in finance and accounting. So that's where I came from. So getting involved in this, I looked at it totally different.
How was that change for you though, to go from your previous backgrounds to now doing this?
Well, I have always been an individual that don't like to be locked down.
Okay.
Even in corporate America, I have my office, my cubicle, whatever the case may be. I was never comfortable being locked down in a corner, just on computer. I was never comfortable doing that.
Right.
So this actually fed into my natural spirit of mm-hmm. being able to be moving around and interacting with people all the time.
Wow. That's one hell of a change.
Yeah.
because you said that's one hell of a change. How have you seen supplies change over the years in you serving the community? I think you said 15 years.
Yeah, upwards.
So,
like 4, yeah.
So serving the community and all the over these years, what have you seen as far as changes wise and maybe supplies and the way that you deliver or things like that to these different barbershops throughout the community?
To be honest, the industry have changed 3 times over.
Okay.
In that space of time, the industry itself has evolved for the better.
Okay.
Because when I started, which was, it's not 100 years ago, but we live in a time where things change very rapidly.
Right.
Okay. Whatever industry you're going to be in, you might have a 12-month cycle, and something else changes. Yeah. So the industry has changed a couple of times from the time I started, where it was simple, just go door to door, shop to shop, have what they need, and keep it moving. Now there's a lot of competition within that. So how I decided is that I have to be the individual that's more consistent, more reliable, and have everything that they need. So when I show up, they have to get what they need. That's my philosophy. Okay. It makes no sense if I show up and I don't have what the customer needs. Right. That bothers me personally, right. Literally. Right. Makes me look bad for myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a number in mind how many shops that you serve throughout the greater Atlanta community. Can you give me a number how many shops you serve?
In the height of it, I would say upwards of 250 a week. When I was on the road, yes.
Okay, on the road.
Yeah.
So you still on the road, but you just on a smaller road?
Yes, on a shorter road. Okay. More now with the brick and mortar that we established. So now barbers could come to us more accessibly. Okay. Okay. So that reduces the need for me to be everywhere. Before it was just me, and I had 2 vehicles on the road at my son at one time. So we had to be there. So being the face of the industry at that time. But now with the brick and mortar, that allows us to not have to be but actually tweak the business model a little bit better.
Wow. That is awesome. Like, I think that's a unique perspective, and I have to talk about it because when I was younger in the barbershop, I think we was talking earlier before this episode, is we think of the supply person, but it's almost like that person's kind of like the bootleg person to a degree. Remember, I think on the movie Barbershop, hey, CDs, DVDs, got whatever, but
the odds and ends kind of situation.
Right, yeah, but that's kind of awesome. Like I never really thought about it from this perspective of like who get to know the supply person, like besides just walking into the barbershop, giving and having that shaving cream that person need, or that hot towel, or that beard oil, or whatever the case may be. So that's really awesome that you wanted to create a brick and mortar and have a van, and you have a van that's kind of like have all the supplies and things in it too as well. Yes. Can you talk about having a brick and mortar and the van? Why do you see the need to have both and not just one or the other in a mobile world that we live in?
Well, it's actually a multi-pronged business model. Okay. Having a delivery aspect of it is definitely separates us from a lot of people. Okay. It also keeps us abreast of the industry. When we go shop to shop in an area, we're able to communicate, see what they really need at the time that they need it, what's the coming trends, what people are looking for, as opposed to just relying on the brick and mortar that we just have shelves and, people just come and get what they need like that. Right. They know us for having cutting edge products where they might just seen it on the internet. They're like, oh, let's call my supply guy. Chances are he might have it, or he might be able to get it, kind of thing. Oh. So that's where we kind of differ. That's awesome. And a valuable tool of having the ability to deliver locally, because barbers, they don't know they don't need nothing until they don't need it. Exactly. Till they out. Yeah.
I remember the other day when you came into the shop that I get my hair cut at, and they were like, "Oh, Ray, yeah, Ray, I ain't seen you in a long time, man. What you got? Right. And then you just kind of standing there. It's like they just pulling on you, and it's like, Like actually I got this. Okay, you need this. You need the spray. Okay, cool. I'm going to the car, get it. And but I think it's your temperament too, though. You got to have a good temperament because
that was not an overnight thing, buddy.
It wasn't.
No.
I understand.
This was a learning, a respectful learning.
Yeah.
Because the industry is so fluid, and I come from a static background. Okay. Corporate is more you take care of this, you do this, everything is stages.
Right.
In this industry, everything is fluid. Temperaments are fluid. Okay. And learning how to communicate inside a barbershop is totally different than you communicating inside your office.
Absolutely.
Like not even night and day. It's like two different planets. You see what I'm saying? So the communication aspect of it, I had to learn. There's many times, we had exchanges in the shop that didn't go the best way because of whatever reason. And that's nothing you could control. You just got to learn from it and say, all right, this happened that day. All right, let me try a different approach. Let me, some shops I had to stop going to because of the environment of the shop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was not inviting.
Right.
And as opposed to making the barbers in the shop or the shop patrons uncomfortable with my presence, I would rather be like, all right, I'll go supply someone else.
Has anybody ever pushed you away from a shop?
Oh, I've been turned away thousands of times.
Why do you think that they would turn you away, and what you can share?
There's multiple reasons, unfamiliarity. They don't know me. They probably had a previous supplier that, they've been using for however long. So loyalty to that individual, which I'm not knocking. Again, just not being familiar with how to communicate. I come with a different style, more direct, respectful in things. Certain places don't value that because they're accustomed to a different approach. You see what I'm saying to you? So now when the learning comes from me, I'm like, all right, that's not how I communicate. And I don't appreciate that kind of communication.
Right.
So I won't put myself in that position.
Another question as you was talking popped in my head. How did you find these barbershops?
Gas.
Gas?
Yeah. Just drive.
I thought that was an app because it's leading me to something else.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
right,
so
right.
he has an app too. That's why I said gas. I thought that was an app, but gas. So you just drive
around.
So
just
old school, like shop to shop.
Boots on the ground.
So you the real boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay,
boots
got
on
it,
the
ground.
Got it. Not that boots.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So and when you first started doing that, it took you to get to 200 plus that you. How long did that take you to get?
A few years. I would say a few years because you don't really know your territory.
Okay.
Shops be in little crevices.
Yeah.
Things like that. You might discontinue service in a location.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So to build up the reliability, and for one of the reasons is that I don't like servicing a shop that I can't service consistently.
Okay, that makes sense. Dive a little deeper. So that's part of the welcoming.
That's part of being consistent, and how the industry is designed. Sometimes supplies come once a week, once every 2 weeks, and if you're spread thin, then you might not see a territory for a month. And that was not my business model. I wanted you to see me every week.
Okay.
Because I know you need stuff every week.
Okay.
Okay. So I wouldn't go too far, like 2 hours away, because I know I won't be able to see you next week.
Right.
You see what I'm saying to you? And that doesn't, coupled with my business model, it doesn't fare well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So since we kind of tapped into the app, so you have an app as well.
Yes. Just recently launched. So it's about a month now.
Right. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Because I know it doesn't take. I know that's not easy.
Nah, it's a learning curve
to make an effective app.
Right.
It's in the App Store. I think it's My Supply Guy, right?
My Supply Guy on all the platforms. My Supply Guy, App Store, and on Google Play.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you want to go towards an app?
Well, the world, forces you to adjust. Everything is on site now. We always had a website, but the app allows us to directly communicate with our customers, as opposed to when you're on site, you communicating via IG and other people's platform. With our app now, as a subscriber to our app, guess what? We get to communicate directly with you. We don't have to worry about idiosyncrasies or what they call that, the algorithms and all that. We create our own algorithm.
Okay.
You see? So if you have 5,000 followers and you post something, probably 1% of them might see what you post.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, that's true.
To what avail is that? So we decided to say, all right, let's go the app route so that we could directly target our own customers.
That's really good though. I remember when you said that in the shop, I was like, wow, like that's like he really taking it to a whole nother level. What about let's pivot a little bit. So I know that you was on a magazine. We have BarberEVO magazine.
BarberEVO, yes.
So and then I remember you handed me that, and I was like, wow, like he's in a magazine. He's not a barber, but he's a supply guy. The supply guy is on the cover of BarberEVO magazine.
Right.
How did that make you feel to be on that cover? Or explain that whole process.
Well, to be honest, initially, you know how things happen and you don't really take ticket on it, for lack of a better word. That's what we say in the Caribbean, but you don't really acknowledge like you did something because you got to keep moving. It was a step for me to actually be a part of the industry, because suppliers are really not normally part of the industry. They're the under part of the industry.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
If you're not a major manufacturer or a major sponsor or an ambassador for a product, nobody really knows
who you are.
Yeah. As a supplier,
But
you could supply the world's best barber.
Yeah.
And you'll be anonymous.
Yeah.
Even the barber, ironically, would not even acknowledge that he actually gets his supplies from you on a consistent basis, because they don't even see it like that.
That's why this interview is important,
right?
Because it kind of gives you a face in the community as well.
Even suppliers in general.
Well, not just you. Yeah. I would say anybody that. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, when I created this podcast and even the film that I did, I never saw a supplier.
Yeah, I never not in your peripheral.
No, never thought about it. But you see the supplies, but you don't see the supplier.
Right.
Whether the barber went to go get, or
right.
So that's really awesome.
Because suppliers are the reason why customers get the service that they need.
Yep.
Thank
you.
We in the shadows. I
appreciate it.
The barbers are the technical,
like a chef.
Yeah, it's like a sous chef. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the chef who's the barber.
Yeah.
But you got the sous chef. Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And then when the patrons come and say, "Yo, this meal was great," the chef comes out.
Exactly.
That's the barber.
Exactly.
All right, that's the face of the whole industry. But
the
suppliers in the background, like, yo.
That's a nice breakdown. The barber industry has evolved over the years. From your perspective, can you give your insight on how it has evolved?
Yes. It's actually, like we had alluded to earlier, is that the industry now has a level of respect added to it now. Okay. Prior to, between 5 and 10 years, no one really, I wouldn't say no one, but the level of respect for the professional barber was not really front page. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was not looked upon as something, as a whole,
Okay.
Now, with the advent of the internet, the advent of all these marketing and ambassadorships from these major brands and things of that nature, now the world is seeing barbering as something to aspire to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, you might get a little flack, backlash. Oh, I want to be a barber. And like, that's what nah. You see what I'm saying to you? And that would be the consensus. Okay. But now people are aspiring to be barbers, starting out. I have customers 12 years old.
Wow.
Okay. Cutting in their garage, have clientele,
Mm-hmm.
understand what clientele is, understand how to provide services, at that early age. Could you imagine now when that barber has honed his skills, got his license, he's 18, 19 years old. He has already been vetted in the industry and ready for the world.
Absolutely.
So now how he carries himself, he has the ability to support his family on front page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a barber.
Yep.
And get the respect and the adoration for that.
What do you see in the barber industry that's missing that you feel that could be offered that's not offered from as a My Supply guy or just in general? Or anything that you like to
in the
change?
Industry, not change, but actually improved upon. Okay, the sense of this is a viable career and it requires regulation as a solid industry. Okay, that's where the value added comes in. That's where the admiration of the industry is like, okay, you went through these steps, you have your license, you're an instructor, you actually invested into your craft, and have the right to build a business behind it. That's what we're looking for.
That's awesome. I like that. Anything else that you want to add that I left out?
As it is, My Supply is here. We are growing. We are for the industry. We are, industry driven. Okay, on all levels and all platforms, and we want the industry to prosper. And because this is something that has not been in the forefront, and is actually a pillar of a community. That industry, not just conversations in the shop. I'm talking as a career, as something that is a vehicle for better things for a family, husband, wife, children, and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, we are wrapping this episode with Ray, My Supply guy. Thank you so much for your time, man. And this is a great episode to shine a light on someone that is actually in the foreground, but really in the background. So it's the barber, it's the supply, then it's Ray that supplied the supply.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just talking crazy. But
shout out to BarberEVO magazine for giving us a great opportunity. We have an event coming up. October 26th.
Promote it. Tell us what it's
Yes. About. October 26th in Atlanta. It's all education. My Supply Guy and BarberEVO will be presenting the first education event that we collaborate together on. They're coming from Europe. We in Atlanta. They come from across the pond. And we're going to be setting up an education event sponsored by Andy's, Vogaro, Level 3, Barber Strong. Okay, all education. Each one of the major sponsors will have educators on deck, ready to feed into the people, feed into the attendees, and top level educators, which is, for example, Kenny Duncan will be there out of Andy's. Okay, and we're going to be announcing periodically what new educators is going to be added to the slate too. So that's going to be a great event. My Supply Guy, BarberEVO, October 26th. Go on Eventbrite. It's called the BarberEVO Experience. Okay. All right. Eventbrite. You can get it on mysupplyguy.shop on our site also, and get your tickets. Tickets are $50. You get a whole lot for that $50. Okay, cool. It's going to be a great event. See you there.
Awesome. And Ray, just put the icing on the cake. Make sure y'all go to that event, because we'll definitely be there in partnership with also Favor Organics, who will be working on some things as well for the men's care line. So hey, we're gonna make it happen, and that's a wrap. Tuning out.